let's see what we got here. What did you do to become a better pilot? Earthbound's FPV, I'm really glad you asked that. I actually shot some video. Every time I go to a quad camp and do a vlog, I try and think of some kind of a theme to have in the vlog running through the whole vlog. So anyway, at this quad camp in Hesperia, California, Quad Camp X Hover, the thing I did, and this didn't make it into the vlog for editing reasons, I asked people, other than fly lots of packs, what's the one thing you would tell people to do to get better at flying? And so Earthbound, it's really awesome that you asked that question, because I never got to publish that. It didn't fit into the vlog for some reason, and then I tried to make a video out of it, but it's just like me asking that question 5 times, and without the rest of the vlog to fill it out, it just didn't really work. But what was really interesting to me about this was that the answers actually were shockingly similar. Like, I expected to get 20 different answers from 20 different people, and I didn't. And so I know the secret to getting better at flying, and I'll tell you what it is. So the first secret is fly a lot. Stick time. That's it. But they say if you practice without, if you don't practice with intent, you won't get better. You'll get better at doing whatever you practice. But like, it's like a guy, if you wanted to learn to play a musical instrument and you just played one scale, you played the C major scale, up and down, you faster and faster. Well, all you're learning to do is play the C major scale. You're not actually getting better at playing music, right? So you have to practice with intent. In other words, you can't just go out there and do the same flips and rolls. And I'm guilty of this. I fight with this, because I like to do what's comfortable. I have a good time. I feel like it was good. And then at the end, I haven't actually gotten any better. So you need a lot of stick time. But you need to practice with intent. And what that means is you need to identify something that you can't do that you want to be able to do. And the best way to do that is watch other people fly, other people who inspire you. Like, you could check out the Community Spotlight on the Rotor Riot channel. Or if there's just, it's hard too, because a lot of freestyle videos are just not that inspiring. That's not an insult. Not every freestyle video needs to blow your mind. The fact, if you have fun flying and you like making videos, that's all it takes to make it worth doing. But if you're trying to find people to inspire you to be better, it can be challenging. So, you have pilots who, like Mr. Steele or any of the Rotor Riot pilots, or Maddie or Florent Roque, or anybody who inspires you. Watch their videos. Identify something that they do, whether it's a trick or a certain way of moving around an obstacle or through the environment. Identify what they did and then say, I'm going to do that. That's all I'm working on today. That's actually going to be less fun than if you just put some music on and rip balls, but you're going to get better. So for me right now, I'm working on the thing that Vic does, Vic FPV, where he flips over and he spins around, roll. It's like 180 pitch, 360 roll, except it just kind of looks like he's flying backwards through a spiral. It's just so freaking clean and instantaneous and just locked in and solid. I'm working on doing that. That's the move I'm working on right now. In a year or so, I'll have it, maybe. So then, you've identified the move that you're going to be working on, or the thing you're going to be working on, and then you got to break it down. So you got to figure out how to get from what you can do to what you can't do yet. And you got to find ways to break the thing you can't do down into things you can do. So I can do a 180 flip. Can I? A lot of times when I do a 180 flip, it's pretty sloppy. It's not quite, the horizon's not like dead center. So maybe the next thing I need to work on is 180 flips, and make sure that I get the timing of that flip down, so every time I do it, boom, the horizon's locked, centered, exactly right. And then from there, now I can do a 360 roll or a 180 roll. I can do that. And I can start working on those things. And then, is he actually doing 180s? Like, is the best place to put the horizon dead center on the camera, or does the move look better if it's slightly angled down or slightly angled up? Okay. So, get a lot of stick time, fly a lot of packs. Number one. Have an intent for what you're going to do. Identify something that you can't do, that you're going to work on doing and getting better at. And then break that down into things that you can do or you can learn to do easily, as opposed to just trying to just do it all at once, And then just keep doing that. Eventually you get better. The other thing I would say is, when I say stick time, I feel like it's better to get 3 or 4 packs once a week than 50 packs and then not fly again for a month. Regular stick time keeps your muscle memory sharp, keeps you improving. Dumping a bunch and then just not doing it for a while, I think you lose it pretty quickly. So, okay, that's my thoughts about how to get better. Okay, now I'd love to hear Stingy.
Do you consider?
What do we
Do you
got?
consider
Steve?
sim time stick time?
Yeah, it can help, especially at the beginning when you're still just learning the basics. But when you start doing like figuring out a trick like a trippy spin, where your whole brain just goes, WTF is the quad even doing? Yeah, sim is fantastic for that. But if you look at the move like I'm talking about, like the little look back spin that Vic does, the timing of that move is going to depend on your quad. And unless you have taken the time to tune the sim to exactly kind of match your quad's rates, your muscle memory isn't going to really apply. And you just got to do it in real life. So,
Right.
Stingy, what do you think? Other than saying I agree with everything you said, which I'm sure you do. You disagree with anything I said?
The annoying thing is that you covered all of the points. You said
Yeah.
number 1, you got to practice, but
Yeah.
practice doesn't make perfect. Practice just is repetition. You have to
Right.
practice with intent and try.
That's great.
You have to not only try things that you're not good, practice things that you're not good at, but you have to do them correctly.
Tell me more about that. Tell me more about that.
You can't do it incorrectly the same way over and over and over.
Yeah.
Because that just reinforces doing it wrong. You
Yep.
have to make changes and make small improvements and then practice those small improvements.
Siggy, I like what you said, that repetition is not practice. That's great. I'm going to steal that. Repetition is not practice. A lot of people who think they're practicing, they just go out and they do repetition. And you will improve, especially at the beginning. Simply being in the air, flying the quad, especially at the beginning, will make you better.
Yeah.
But you'll hit a point where you're able to sort of fly around and maybe do some tricks. And at that point, you have to push yourself. Otherwise, you'll just settle in. A lot of people will just, there's people who are just so driven that this won't happen to them. But you'll settle in and you won't get any better. Yeah. The other thing that happens to me is that I'll try and do a move and it keeps not going right. I'm just not sure why. Like, for example, again, I think I'm thinking of Vic. I just must see him on Instagram a lot lately. He does these yaw spins, inverted yaw spins, where the horizon is dead flat. Just perfect. It's amazing. And I don't know how he has gotten that so dead on. And I try, and no matter how I try, I invert, and I yaw spin, and the horizon goes, and I'm like, well, that wasn't right. But I just can't seem to find the angle where it works, and I just don't know what I'm doing, and I can't progress. How do you progress at that point?
Bardwell, are you down a little bit of down tilt on your stick, pitching down a little bit when you're inverted?
Well, it's not, no, but I'm actually not asking you how to solve that specific problem. What I mean is when you can't figure out what you're doing wrong or why it's not working, how do you get past that point in general?
Talk to somebody who can do it.
Yeah.
And have them look. Fly with people better than you.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I was going to say is I revisited my rates. I was having some issues with those quick 180s because I had initially tuned my rates so that doing a 360 felt natural. Mm-hmm. But then it was so hard to get a 180 just right. I would either go under, over, because it would have to be too snappy. So I retuned my rates to what a 180 felt right. And then the other thing, I feel like it's okay to be slightly off on a 360 and still make it work. But if you're doing a 180, you have to be right, perfect on it. So I retuned, and now lots of things that I was struggling with before are just becoming a little more automatic, and they're turning out.
Yeah. You know why I think a 180 is more important to be exactly right, Steve? Because when you do a 180, you're upside down. Where you do a 360,
Well,
if you come
exactly.
out of it, you're a little bit off. You can just kind of slide into the right angle. But with a 180, you're upside down. You don't have a lot of time to correct.
Well, you don't want to be looking at the sky and not know where the hell you are.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. So anyway, that's I'm glad. Thank you, Earthbounce, for giving us a chance to talk about that. I think that, and thank you to all the pilots who contributed their own unique spin on that little that thing, because everybody gave some component of that. But at the end, I looked at it and I was like, wow, I just got the outline for improvement. You know, to be honest with you, it's actually not rocket science. If you look at martial arts or musical instruments and you say, how do you get better? That's the outline. But it's just funny to me that I spontaneously asked all these people and they gave me this really complete answer. And if you do those things, you will get better. You will get better. And if you're not getting, conversely, if you're not getting better and you're not doing those things, you're not flying enough, or when you're flying, you're not pushing yourself to do things that you can't do. There's nothing wrong with that. I just want to say, there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. The number one thing about flying is that it is super fun. And if what you find fun is to fly around and just not like improve as a pilot, who cares? You're not beholden to anyone. Just go have fun. But if you want to get better, then that's how.